Welcome to another edition of the GM Files. Jim Duquette alongside Bobby Evans. Today, we are joined by the almost 10-year veteran, Lance Lynn, who's with the Chicago White Sox now. Lance, by the way, that 9 years, I don't know if this is accurate, 9 years, 119 days. You're so close to 10 years. That's a great badge. Not many guys get to that. I'm curious, what do you attribute the longevity to, other than pitching well? What do you attribute the longevity to?
Oh man, when you get lucky and only miss one season for injury, but you gotta get lucky. I got lucky coming up, and when I got up, I was able to stick. And I think that's a lot of the big thing. Is it's hard to get there, and it's even harder to stay. But I was able to have some luck, and I was able to have some veterans that helped me along the way to make sure that I didn't take any missteps.
Well, you started your career a year later than you could have. I mean, you were drafted, by Seattle, and then you decided to go back, tore it up at Ole Miss, and then were drafted the next year. What made you decide to stick around and give it another year?
To be honest with you, they didn't give me enough money.
Yeah.
There's no other way to say it. I think, I was drafted in the 6th round out of high school. And, my family and I had a number that we thought was going to be worth foregoing a full ride at Ole Miss. And they were not able to get to that. And we let them know that right away. But to go to college, play in the SEC for 3 years and have that opportunity to grow, get away from home, become an adult, I think it was needed. To leave home at 18 and go to the minor leagues might not have been the best for me. But I was able to go to Ole Miss and learn some things that kept me out of trouble. And, here I am today.
I'm just going to follow up on that. First off, your high school, your team, you got 36-0, right? You and Drew Storen. I'm sure there was some other studs in that team, but you had like a .71 ERA, and you topped that by hitting 14 home runs. I think it was that year, right? That senior year. So, which do you think is the best at personal achievement, the home runs or the below 1 ERA?
For me, to be honest with you, it was the undefeated record in state championship. My personal stuff didn't matter. My sophomore year and junior year, we lost in the state championship. So to win that, I didn't really care what I did personally. But when we won that, it made it all worth everything.
36-0.
Awesome.
That's crazy. That's
awesome.
I don't know, by the way, how the heck they didn't draft you higher. You went to the area codes, right? You were Gatorade Player of the Year in Indiana, I believe. Like you had a really good senior year. Any sense of, did you have a sense that you were maybe going to be drafted higher, and then you ended up dropping a little bit, or what was your feeling there?
To be honest with you, I thought I was going to go in like the 2nd or 3rd round. And then it kind of came out, I guess, that I was kind of come from a family that was didn't make a lot of money and things like that. So they thought they could draft me later and not give me much money, and I wouldn't go to school. Didn't think I wanted to go to college and all that. So it was one of those things where they rolled the dice and drafted me later, and it didn't work out for them.
Gotcha.
Well, getting drafted by the Cardinals, what a great place to play. A great tradition, a great organization, sustained success. And you hadn't been up, a year before it was your first year up that you guys got to the World Series in 2011? That was your first year, right?
Yep. Yeah, made my debut in June that year. And then, we were able to make a run to the World Series. I got hurt that year. Had an oblique injury and was on the 60-day deal till the 2nd round of the playoffs. And then somehow, some way, Tony and Dunk were like, "Hey, you're active." I was like, "I haven't thrown a pitch in the big leagues in 2 months, and I'm a rookie, and I've only had like 18 appearances." They were like, "Yeah, but you're our first in out of the bullpen in the AL or the NLCS or something like that." I was like, "Cool, let's do it." So that's kind of how it went. I think my first year was such a blur, and it never was too much. It was just go play. And I think that helped, kind of slow the game down for me. I just went and played, and they kept it that way for me early on.
Well, that's a good. Was it that year you threw one pitch and got the win against the Brewers? I'm trying to remember what year that was. Was that 11 or 12?
Yeah, I got a double play ball. But if it was, the rules today, it wouldn't have been a double play because Ricky Weeks was safe at first. There's no doubt about it. So,
replay was I think
the
I
replay
remember
wasn't
that
there
play.
yet. So one pitch double play, and the irony of it was I think it was a breaking ball. I don't know if I've thrown one since. So it's crazy.
Well, you're with Tony La Russa in his last year as a manager. Of course, now he's back, and you get to be with him. How much are you looking forward to the reunion?
I'm looking forward to it. Everybody knows Tony. When I was first with him, I was out of college and spring training, and I was a rookie. So hopefully we have a little different relationship now. But Tony was good to me, always was, and he has been since those days. And we've stayed in touch since then. So I'm looking forward to playing for him. You know what it's about. He wants to win and doesn't care anything about all the other stuff. As long as you show up every day and have a chance to work hard and have a chance to win, give your team everything you got. That's all he cares about.
What was it like winning the World Series that early in your career? Obviously, everyone's pursuing it. Not many get there. It's been elusive so far. Hopefully, I mean, you're on a really good team this year, has a good chance to get there. But what was it like kind of early on? And then what's it like kind of been chasing that since?
You're spoiled. It's like you kind of don't remember what happened because you were so new to it and you didn't really have to go through the grind of actually to be honest with you, earning it, because it's come straight from the minor leagues, and it's like, here's a World Series, and then NLCS the next year, another World Series appearance, another NLCS, and then now 5 years after playing in a World Series, haven't been back, and been the playoffs have been kind of hit or miss. So, you relish the opportunity to get back there, but now you know how hard it is and how, spoiled I was early on in my St. Louis days to be, in the playoffs and be a part of teams like that.
How surprised were you to end up having to have Tommy John surgery? Had that been something that had been lingering and you were kind of fighting it off, or did it come on sudden? And how did you manage that?
It was one of those things where I didn't really feel much. I think that over time, it's just one of those things where nothing popped. I never had any issues with anything popping or anything like that. Over time, I just wore it out. When the doctor went in there, it was just so much scar tissue. It was pretty much a dead ligament. Had some more forearm issues than I did ligament. And then that's when they saw that the ligament was dead. And then I ended up pitching the rest of that year, made another 15, 16 starts. Wainwright went out with an Achilles. So I was like, I got to stick around and see what I got, see if I can help. And then I was able to have surgery after that. But you're talking about 20, 25 starts knowing that you probably needed surgery. And, you can't even scoop up your kids with your throwing arm, and every day you wake up, it doesn't want to straighten all the way. It takes it a while to get it going after a couple cups of coffee. So it was a rough year, but, I was able to, help the team get to the playoffs that year, and then, took care of it after that.
But do you remember the moment when you picked up your kids, you threw the baseball and you didn't feel pain anymore? Like, did that stick out in your mind?
No, the crazy thing now is you get older and everything's starting to hurt more and more. So it's like, I was like, man, I wish I did. But no, I mean, for me, everything since the surgery and since everything like that has changed, whether it's workout wise and everything, to kind of get ready for becoming older, being able to, do what you need to do in between starts. And you just get smarter the older you get, your body more and things like that. So it's crazy to think at 33 years old, I feel better than I did at 25. And hopefully that stays that way. But, you're always changing. You're always doing what you got to do to improve. And that's, something I've learned over time. I didn't do that much when I was younger. I just went out and pitched.
Right.
Who had the most impact on you, just as you look back in your career, whether it be a manager or a pitching coach, just in terms of helping you, reach the pinnacles that you have in terms of 100 wins and, All-Star and obviously World Series, who's had the most impact on you?
Oh man, it's hard to pick just one. When you look at, I was able to play with a lot of really great veteran players. And then, your first manager is Tony La Russa, Hall of Fame manager. And then you get Mike Matheny, who's caught in the big leagues for 10 years. And, everyone knows what kind of person he is. He was able to help me grow in different ways. And then you go to Paul Molitor, who's a Hall of Fame player, and he's your manager. And then Aaron Boone's one of the best player managers there is. So it's like, when you look at it over the course of my career, I can't pick one, but I've been blessed every stop I've had. And then my last stop, Chris Woodward let me, as a rookie manager, he let me show everybody what I'm capable of, because I feel like people kind of forgot that I'm able to go out there, start after start and compile innings and show everyone that I'm still pretty good, even though I'm getting up there in age. And by up there in age, I'm only 33 years old, but as everyone thinks that you're 30 and you're old now, and I'm trying to prove them differently.
That's right. By the way, Tom Brady's pretty good, and he's over 40, but that's a different story, different sport. But
right, you got Verlander who hit 35 and had some of his best years all of a sudden. So it's like one of those things where if you figure out what you're capable of, what you're good at, how you can do it, and how you can repeat it, who knows how long you can do it for.
Right, exactly. What was it like? You were a Yankee fan growing up, right? So then you were traded to the Yankees. Like, I don't know, first year, do you have any indication you were going to be traded there? What was it like putting the pinstripes on? I know you didn't go there right away to start, but then you end up starting, kind of taking Sonny Gray's spot, and Sonny obviously bounced back and pitching well again. But what was that whole experience like?
It's interesting. You're looking at, I probably had the worst stretch of my career in Minnesota. Showing up late to spring training, getting off to a rough start in April. And then you're looking at May, June, and you're just like, things were starting to turn around. And you knew that I was probably going to get traded. Some of the guys started to go, Zach Duke, and, Dozier was getting traded. So you figured, hey, you're probably going to get out of here too. And then, Paul called me in and was like, hey, you got traded to the Yankees. And the first thing I thought of was, man, I got to shave my beard. I'm a straight shaved. And probably since I was 18, 19 years old, heck, I didn't even have to shave until I was probably 20 something years old. So then I was like, all right, I guess I got to do that. I think that was the weirdest thing. And then you realize, hey, I get to go play in New York. I get to play for the Yankees, and I get to have a chance to make a playoff run. And you're just kind of like, whatever you want me to do, I'm here to do it. Just give me the ball, and I'll go try to get outs.
That's a tough place to pitch. I mean, certainly, the new Yankee Stadium, especially given the fences, and people talk about the difficulty of, the Yankees developing a pitching staff to take them to the next level. They've not been in a World Series since they won it in 2009. What's your view of the ballpark? Or the stadium? I mean, it's the Taj Mahal of all MLB parks, but how is it for you as a pitcher there?
Yeah, I mean, when I was there as a home pitcher, you kind of figured it out. I don't know if I gave up a home run as a home pitcher there, but you go in there as a road guy, and you're like, man, you can turn around and just toss it over the right field wall and all that. But I think you're there every day. You realize, hey, who's got the ability to flick it out there as a right-handed hitter? So don't let them get extended. Don't let them do those things. So you just got to pay attention. You got to pitch a little differently there. I think when I was there as a starter, I was able to use my sinker a little bit more for some of those guys that were all about trying to get the ball in the air and seeing if they can hit it out. So you got to pay attention. You got to pitch a little bit. And I think that's one of those things where over time, look at CC, he was able to, as the years went on, was able to, fine tune and change some of the way he did things and would still be successful. So it's one of those places that right when you get there, it's different. But it takes some time to get used to it. It takes some time to fill it out. And, the only thing though, is they don't give you much time as fans there to get your feet under you. So that comes with the territory, and that going in, but it's definitely fun. When you're not doing well, you deserve to get booed. So it makes it fun when you go there.
Were they an option at all, Lance, when you became a free agent at the end of the year? Like, did they have any kind of dialogue? Or, I know you ended up signing a 3-year deal with Texas and worked out well for you, but I was curious if there was ever a chance that you might have returned back there.
Yeah, there was some back and forth all the way up until they agreed with Hap. And then that was when I guess that's the way I was understanding it. And then they were one of, 3 or 4, maybe even 5 teams that I had all of similar offers on the table, whether it was 2 to 3 years in the same frame of AAV. So, I would have relished that opportunity to go there and actually have a chance to pitch full seasons, but, it didn't work out.
Were you expecting the trade in December? Was it something that caught you off guard, or is it something you'd kind of anticipated might happen?
Yeah, JD kept me in the loop of everything. I knew going into, at the trade deadline last year, that was the opportunity. We weren't playing well, and you knew that you could kind of see the writing on the wall that it was going to be a rebuild going into this year. Try to get some of these young kids in Texas a chance to play and show what they're about. So I knew that was a possibility. He kept me in the loop. Kept me what teams were involved. How serious it was, and this day and age, you usually don't hear that you're traded from the team first. The fact that I knew, and JD told me before anybody and anything came out that where I was going and what was going on was, they were awesome to me all the way through, and I appreciated everything about it.
That's impressive that he was able to keep it quiet, like you said.
I don't know how he did it.
Yeah,
seriously, I don't know how he pulled it off.
Well, no, I was curious though, Lance, because I really, I thought that the Rangers would have traded you to a contender during the season, like, because you were one of those guys. Like, there's just not a lot of good pitching that's available at the deadline, and I would have thought if they were going to move you, that was the time to do it. Did you have any feel at all, or did they just come out to you and say, "No, listen, we're right now we're not maybe they were still in it. I kind of forget the sequences there because it was such a short season. What was the general feeling around you at the trade deadline this past year?
Yeah, no, we were pretty. I think we weren't eliminated yet, but we were pretty much on the way there. Especially with the injuries we had with Kluber going down after one inning and stuff like that. It was kind of we were spiraling right out of the gate with guys getting injured and stuff like that. And I know that there was multiple teams in Austin. I think the White Sox were one of them that were involved at the deadline. And I know that they were fielding offers and they were exchanging names and all that. And they kept me in the loop then too. So I don't know if anything was close or anything like that, but I just know that I was definitely being talked about, and they knew, they kind of gave me an idea of what teams were involved and who was the most serious. And those were the same teams that were still involved this winter. So I think I don't know what changed or anything like that, but he gave me a chance to talk to him, and we were, I respect JD a lot. He was able to, keep me in the loop, ask me questions, ask me where I would like to go, how things would go. And, he's got to do his job, but he was also, showed some human side in there, and I appreciate it. Yeah,
no doubt. You're with a really great ball club and a great organization, but a team that's really coming on in the AL Central. Are you excited about the upcoming season, and what are you looking forward to the most?
I'm super psyched, really. When you go into a season where, you look at the off season, you look at the season they had before, when a team adds and has a chance to make a push for the playoffs, that's what you play the game for. I was telling somebody the other day, it's as much money as you make and all that, and how long you play. But when every year you have a chance to go to the playoffs, it gets you excited. There's a different gear that you find. And it's not to say that there's any other way you go about getting ready for a season, but there's just an excitement when you're throwing bullpens and things like that. It's like, I got a true chance this year. And as much as you tell yourself you have a chance every year, sometimes that you got to, this might be a little bit of a growing year. But this year, with the caliber of pitching we got, with the hitters, the young guys, they brought in some veterans to try to help out. I'm looking forward to it and, see what we got.
I'm curious. You have two former GMs here, Lance, and I, if you're to give advice to us from your experience as a player of something that maybe, because a GM, we get caught up in it's a business sometimes, and we trade guys, we don't understand, the effect it might have on a family. So I'm just saying generally as a profession, and not that you're indicting anyone that you were with. I'm just curious because you talk to players all the time. What is there one piece of advice that you would like someone in the front office now to be aware of, that you're like, man, that was just, this guy was done wrong, or maybe it's something you experienced? Give us some advice.
I mean, I think that the most thing is, I think nowadays is you get so much caught up in the business aspect that I think people do forget that people are human beings and have families. And I think sometimes the worst thing that anyone can happen, and that I've seen guys that they found out, hey, I got traded on TV or a tweet or this or that. I think that's what gets guys the most. It's like, man, what happened to being face-to-face or giving someone a phone call? Like, I remember sitting in the locker room, and Alan Craig got traded to Boston, and we were all eating breakfast in San Diego. And I don't know what happened, but we're sitting there watching MLB Network, and it's like across the board, Alan Craig, Joe Kelly to Boston for John Lackey, and we're all sitting there eating dinner with him or breakfast with him, and everyone's like, what? And he had no idea. And I think that's the hard part. And it's like, it's a business. And I think that was the first time I really realized, oh man, you're just kind of a number and just a guy on a piece of paper. And that's the hard part of it. And, it comes with the territory, but we make a lot of money to do this, and sometimes you just got to deal with it.
Yeah. Well, it is a tough part of the business, and there are no secrets in the game anymore. I mean, to John Daniels' credit, I think, taking an upfront approach is really talking to players before deals are made, because if you don't, as the deal gets close, there's a lot of leakage, unintentionally, and if not intentionally, that the word gets out, and you can't control it once it's tweeted or Instagrammed or posted somewhere. And to JD's credit, I mean, letting you know in advance is really the right way to do it these days.
Yeah, and I know it's the hardest thing to do. There's too many people with smart devices that would love to send the first tweet out, even though they don't have the full information or don't even know if it's true sometimes. So it comes with the world we live in right now. And it's just like, who's the first one to just say something and hope it sticks? And then that's how you find out. But, you know, like we said, it is a business, and I respect the business part of it. I've learned to enjoy it when you watch, you know, heck, I love watching how business works in the off season, whether it's this guy goes there or how teams want to be constructed by GMs and stuff. It's fascinating to me. So, but it's also, has to realize that it is human beings and the gist of it. But when it's all said and done, you got to do what you got to do.
Right. Hey, I have one more. I want to let you just, what would be the current Lance Lynn tell younger Lance Lynn? I asked a couple pitchers I asked Dwight Goodness recently. He had an interesting answer. What is there some piece of advice that you've learned along the way that you would have, you know, wish you had known back when maybe you're the 2012 Lance Lynn or 2013 Lance Lynn?
Yeah, it's funny. Nowadays, when I was coming up, it was, hey, throw your sinker in St. Louis. And that four-seamer I had that everyone hated, everyone loves now. So I could go back and be like, hey, don't worry about it. The game's going to turn to what you do best. Just keep firing away.
I love it.
I love it.
Looking back to one more for you, Lance. I mean, looking back, you know, you played with some great guys and guys on a pitching staff, and who really stood out for you as a teammate, as a model for you as you were coming up through your career? Was it Wainwright? Was it somebody else? Who stood out to you?
I'll tell you what, I got there when St. Louis, when you look at, I had Chris Carpenter, who taught me that how to work in between starts. I'm not saying that Wainwright and all those guys worked every day. Their work in between starts, you know, the competitiveness, the way to show, that you're here and you want to win no matter how you feel or how everything goes. You had Chris Carpenter, Adam Wainwright, Jake Westbrook. Everyone forgets about Jake Westbrook, who went out there and just fired a sinker at you and said, here we go, let's do this thing. And then Kyle Loesch, who was one of the best competitors I've ever seen, but showed zero emotion the older and is there. And then I had John Lackey, who will tell you exactly how he feels about you with his facial expression right away. So I learned from so many of those guys how to compete every day, how to be good teammates, how to be good dudes, and then not let it take away from what you do at the field and how you live your life. You can't let anything, you can't take anything for granted, but you also got to make sure you can do what you got to do to be successful on the field by taking care of yourself off. And they've all were great to me in all different types of ways, because they're all different dudes. When you go back and look at them, every single one of them are different and in their own way. And I think I took a little bit from every one of them to, kind of figure out who I was.
Real quick, do you still stay in contact with Jake?
Yeah. Yep. Every he sends me a text every once in a while. I'm guessing he's got 4 or 5 kids now. He's just chasing people around, playing travel baseball in Georgia. So Jake's one of my favorite people of all time. You look at little bulldog on the mound, and then he was about the funniest character you ever seen in a clubhouse. He was a beauty.
I'll tell you, I have a quick scouting story with Jake Westbrook. I was just starting out. He was pitching a high school Georgia state championship game. I'm pretty sure he threw a no-hitter in the first game of a doubleheader and hit a game-winning home run or something like that. Next time, if you think of it, ask him about that game. Like, it was ridiculous what he did. It was like there's no question he was going to be I think he ended up being a first rounder, or he was. Yeah. I know he was high on my list just off of that. But I could not believe the game that he had in a state. Like at a state semifinal game or something like that. I don't have all the details right, but I know I have most of them right.
Oh yeah, I went to his hometown in Georgia and had a little shrine of him on his scoreboard and all that stuff. He still is there. He'll still tell you about it. I guess he could play a little basketball too. So he's kind of the small town Georgia kid that made it big. He was the man though.
Awesome. Hey, Lance, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot for the time. Good luck this season. Hopefully, we'll be seeing you, compete for that ring at the end of the year, and we'll catch up with you in person. Hopefully, when things clear up.
Sounds good. I appreciate it, guys.